work for a small business. And if we're going to be led out of this recession, small business is going to have to lead us out. And I'll come back to talk about how we're going to make things easier and better for small businesses in California. So in the end, the reason that I decided to run for governor of California is really very simple. I just refuse to believe that California cannot be better than it is. What has happened to our great state? It is just a shame. And you know the statistics. Today we have a 12.6% unemployment rate, third highest in the country. Did you ever imagine that California would have the third highest unemployment levels? And that is 2.3 million Californians out of work. Imagine 2.3 million people wake up every day not knowing what they're going to do. I see that heartbreak on the campaign trail every single day. There are companies that are laying off employees who have worked for their company for 30 years. We have an infrastructure built for a population half our size. The water crisis in the Central Valley is Exhibit A. We have a kindergarten through 12th grade education system that is now ranked close to the bottom of all 50 states. I don't know if you saw the results of the recent national scores that the kids take. 4th graders and 8th graders take reading and math tests, and you can compare them to all 50 states. The 8th grade readers in the state of California perform better than only one state, Mississippi. So this is not acceptable, and we are going to have to turn this around. And then last but not least, of course, we face a $20 billion budget deficit in Sacramento over the next 12 months. And that's after $12.5 billion worth of cuts and $12.5 billion worth of tax increases. So people ask me every day on the campaign trail, is California governable? Can we actually fix this state that seems so mired in trouble? And the answer is we can, but it's going to take a different approach and a different leadership style. I think Einstein had it right when he said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and hoping for different results. And so we have to have a different approach here. And my approach is anchored in focus. I am a big believer in focus. Could we please do 3 things really, really well here, as opposed to try to do 10 things or 15 things at 5 or 10%? So I want to focus on 3 things today. First, 3 things when I'm governor. First is jobs. And I'm going to come back to that. It's where I want to spend the most time today. But the truth is, unless we put Californians back to work, unless we fundamentally improve the business climate and make it easier for small businesses to grow and thrive in California, there is no way out of this mess. So that's priority number 1. Number 2 is we have got to cut government spending. Trust me when I tell you, we actually don't have a revenue problem in California. We have a spending problem of epic proportions. And we have to get after this. And I've developed a plan to cut $15 billion worth of spending out of the state budget, which frankly will make us stronger, not weaker. We will reduce the number of workers who work for the state that has ballooned by 40,000 people over just the last 5 years. We will reform welfare. Today, we have 12% of the U.S. population and 32% of the welfare cases. We have 5 times the welfare cases of New York and only twice the population. So we are going to have to reform our welfare system because it is impacting the budget, but also I think it's important to strengthen our communities. Welfare can't become a way of life. It's got to be a hand up and not a way of life. We have got to reform the public employee pension program. I don't know how many of you know, but we are facing a $60 to $100 billion unfunded pension liability, which means we owe the civil servants much more money than we can possibly pay. And what has happened over the last 10 or 15 years is public employee pensions have become extraordinarily generous. Today you can retire as a public safety officer at 50 years old with, if you've worked for the state for 30 years, about 80% of your salary and full health care benefits till the day you die. If you are a rank-and-file civil servant, you can retire at 55 years old with almost the same deal. So we have got to reform the pension program. And then last but not least, we've got to use technology to do more with less. We've got to run the state efficiently and effectively. There is fraud embedded in this system in ways you can hardly imagine. Probably $5 to $6 billion worth of fraud when you look at the administration of Medicare and Medi-Cal. You look at the in-home supportive service program, which was great program that was designed to keep seniors and the disabled in their homes longer, probably $1 billion worth of fraud, welfare fraud, workman's compensation fraud, unemployment insurance fraud. We have got to get after this. And we're going to do that through technology. And I've also called for the first ever statewide grand jury to put some teeth and accountability into rooting out the fraud and the waste and the mismanagement. just spend one last moment on mismanagement. This drives me crazy as a business executive who's been in business 30 years. It would drive you crazy too. I'll give you a couple of examples. The Bay Bridge, $5 billion overrun to the cost of the repairs of the Bay Bridge. It will come in 5 times the actual cost that it was supposed to. Can you imagine having that happen in your business? You would be out of business. On a smaller scale, we've got 150 staffers in the Department of Education, $10 million cost per year, that are working on programs that the Department of Education no longer administers. Caltrans built a $3.4 million rest stop on one of our highways. I want to live in that rest stop. $3.4 million? And it goes on and on and on. And the truth is, we have a government we can no longer afford, and we are going to have to get after this. And then finally, our K-12 education system. It is not okay that we are denying the vast majority of children a chance at the California dream. It is not okay that the high school graduation rate in many of our communities is less than 50%. If you do not graduate from high school in the 21st century, what is it exactly that you're going to do? So I've got a plan for education, and we can talk more about it. But perhaps the most important thing is jobs. And as I said, if we do not put Californians back to work, there is no way out of this financial mess. And let me explain something that I think you will find to be quite interesting. So with a 12.6% unemployment rate, obviously state revenues have gone down. Personal income taxes, business income taxes have shrunk. But unlike your regular business, when your revenues go down, at least your costs do too to some extent. In the state government, the costs go up because as people lose their job, they need the social services, unemployment, health care, welfare. California today, every single week, is running $237 million of unemployment benefits every single week. So you can see, unless we create a better business climate and put Californians back to work, there will be no way out of this mess. So I have dissected the economy in California and have devised a pathway to help create the conditions for 2 million new private sector jobs to be created by 2015. We will do that in a number of different ways. First is we have got to cut taxes in California.